6th and 7th grade, you have a sub today, same deal as usual. You're going to have notes today. If you at any point have a question, raise your hand. Mrs. Davidson will pause the video and teach from the whiteboard likely. You should be copying down notes exactly as you usually do in class. I'll be grading notes for 5 points, homework for 5 points. Turn in your classwork packet if you finish, and that is how you earn your classwork for today. Number 1, if you have not done the warm-up, press pause. If you have done it, keep continuing to listen and we'll see if we got this one right. Number 1 is asking us to compare the table with our different graphs, and they give us 4 different points. You should be going over 1 up 2. Letter A does not have 1, 2 graphed. It switched them, so A is not the answer. Cross it out. B goes over 1 up 2.
Damien, could I please go to pickup? Damien, please go to pickup.
This does match, so this might be the answer. C does not go through 1, 2. Cross it out. And D looks like B, so this could be an answer. It goes up 2 over 1. Okay, so which one of these is the answer? Is this proportional? Yes or no? And if you see it go through the origin and it has a constant, you know the answer is yes. Number 2, a person weighs 120 pounds on Earth, or a person who's 120 on Earth weighs 20 pounds on the moon. How much does a 93-pound person weigh on the moon? This is a scavenger hunt problem. Write what you're looking for. Here's our setup. We are looking for pounds on the moon. We know they weigh 93 pounds on Earth. In your scavenger hunt, you are given information. You want to make sure that you set it up correctly so you get your clue. If they weigh 20 pounds on the moon matches the top of our ratio, so it's set up correctly. 120 matches the bottom, so that's set up correctly. Okay, so 20 over 120, what would the answer be? I'm thinking through how to get my clue, and I know that I need to simplify this. 20 over 120, you could simplify it, or you could get a decimal. Let's go ahead and divide top by 20 and bottom by 20 to get 1/6. Okay, 1/6 looks like your unit rate. Take your unit rate. You have one last clue. Multiply 1/6 by 93. And I don't think there can be anything to cross cancel. Maybe a 3. But that's it. So your answer is they weigh 31 over 2 pounds. You could divide it and get a decimal. We'll just keep it as a fraction for now. Solve these using GEMDAS. Start with dividing. 14 divided by 2. Then work left to right, and you get 9. Raise your hand or pause if you don't have that on your page, and get to the aim. Today's aim is students will be able to use y equals kx to solve real-world problems. The table shows the area y in square feet that Mr. Macti's robot vacuum Reginald cleans in x minutes. Graph the data, tell whether x and y are proportional. You have your table to the right here, and you have your graph. X is always on the bottom or lower area. Y is always to the left or on the side. So if The x represents minutes. Let's put the minutes next to x. Y represents the area. Put area next to y. I'm checking your packets on Thursday. After you've turned them in, make sure everything that you see is filled out. So let's go ahead and graph this and see what we can come up with. I don't have any numbers on the sides, so I'm going to have to count or add the numbers. X values need to count up to 4, so counting by 1 works, but Y has to count up to 32, and there's not 32 spaces. So let's count by 4s. That's going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. If you tried to count by 2s, it also wouldn't fit. So your key is to try to go by a number that fits. And I got to 32. That's the highest number, so I can stop. Let's plot the points. Run before you jump. The point 1, 8 runs to 1 and jumps to 8. Make a point. The point 2, 16 runs to 2, jumps to 16. Run to 3, jump to 24. Run to 4, jump to 32. If you did not get a ruler, Mrs. Davidson will pass some out. You should draw a straight line from the origin, connecting the dots, and this is proportional. To write an equation, you first need to find k. To find k, you're going to start at 1. This is your x value. And remember that k is always in the form of y over x. So if you started at 1, you're going to go up until you reach the line. Go over this point is your y value. This is your x. Let's write it. Y equals 8, x is 1. So if you know that k is 8, you can make an equation. An equation for a proportional relationship is always y equals kx. You can use the 8 and drop it in. Your answer should be y equals 8x. Using that equation, you can find a lot of cool things. They want us to know the area cleaned in 10 minutes. Well, if you know that they have an equation that works for this, that's y equals 8x, your minutes is the x value. So let's use 10 and plug in that for x. What area do you clean in 10 minutes? Y equals 80 square feet. Raise your hand if you have questions. Make sure board to paper is complete. Next page. You're gonna, I think, yeah, there might be one other one that I deleted. Use this table. Same thing, we're going to show the table that shows the profit for recycling for X pounds of aluminum. Y is recycling, or the profit that you make. And X is the pounds. And let's plot the X first. X value is always on the bottom and it represents pounds. Y is the profit, it's always on the side. We'll put money here. We need to get all the way up to 40, from 10 to 40. So let's count by 5s or 10s would work. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That's the highest we have to go. And the y has to go up to 20. Let's count by 2s. Maybe we want to do 5s also. 5, 10, 15, 20. 2s or 5s would work. Let's go with 5s. Okay, let's plot it. If you go over 10, you're going to go up to 5. Over 30, up to 15. Over 20, up to 10. Over 40, up to 20. Okay, so we want an equation that is going to use k. We need y equals kx. Let's find k first. Go over to your first point. 5. I don't have a really great number that I can use for 5, so let's go to this point here. And if you go over 10, you'll go up 5. Over 10, up 5. So this point has a y value of 5, an x value of 10. Let's plug it in. Y value is 5, x value is 10. Simplify it, and your constant is 1/2. The constant goes in place of k. That's your equation. You can use this to find any amount of aluminum or money. What's the money earned for 50 pounds of aluminum? Plug in 50 for x. Y would equal 1/2 times 50 over 1. Let's cross cancel. 2 goes into 50 25 times. So it looks like our profit is $25. That is your answer. Next page, you may want to do this one whole class. That was fairly quick, and these can be tricky. So check in with Mrs. Davidson. You need to complete number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 in order to get a homework page tonight. This is 5 points for today's classwork. If you do finish, go ahead and turn it in. That's the way the cookie crumbles as always, guys. Have fun.